Hi, I'm Lam. It was the Dragon Boat Festival holiday, but I didn't really feel rested that morning. Because of a sore throat, I hadn't slept well the night before, and I was still yawning in the car. My husband wanted to take me out for a walk. So we drove to a place in my hometown called Germantown. In many cities in China, whether big or small, you can find these small scenic areas built in a European style, German towns, British towns, or other foreign style streets. My hometown has one too. I wasn't expecting anything special. I just wanted to get out of the house, walk around a little, and see if the holiday still felt the way I remembered. My hometown isn't a very big city, so it only took us a little over 10 minutes to drive to Germantown. There were plenty of parking spaces along the road, and we found one without any trouble. After we got out of the car, my husband and I split up for a while. He went to film his own footage, and I walk around casually on my own. As I walked through the street, it felt nothing like the lively holiday scene I had imagined. There were hardly any people around, and even the shops were mostly closed. For a place built as a scenic street, it felt much quieter than I expected. Across from the street, there was a road leading into a much greener area. The trees looked thick and lush, and it seemed like there might be a lake inside. So I decided to walk over and see what was there. As I walked into the greener area, my whole body seemed to slowly relax. Compared with the dense buildings behind me, this place felt much more alive. There were trees all around, birds calling, insects making sounds in the grass, and even the air seemed softer. To my surprise, across the lake, I saw a Chinese-style pavilion standing quietly on the other side. Without much hesitation, I decided to walk toward the pavilion on the other side. Maybe it wasn't just the pavilion that drew me in. All that green in front of me made me want to keep walking deeper into it. As I kept walking along this path, I started to enjoy it more and more. The trees on both sides covered the road. The light became softer, and the sounds of birds and insects were all around me. I didn't need to do anything special. Just walking slowly through this little green path already made me feel much calmer. But I didn't stop there. I kept walking forward, and after just a few minutes, the pavilion appeared right in front of me. These are Chinese-style riverside pavilions with gray tiled roofs, curved eaves, wooden frames, and long benches along the sides. They stand in a row by the water, almost like quiet, covered resting places. Quite a few people were sitting inside to cool off and rest, most of them elderly locals. After I walked out, I realized I hadn't seen a name plaque inside. so I went toward the road to see what this pavilion was called. Just then, my husband called and asked where I was. I guessed he was probably already waiting for me. When I finally saw the sign, I realized it was called 古戏亭, an old-style opera pavilion. It wasn't just a place to rest, but a stage by the water. Facing the river, it seemed designed so people on passing boats could watch performances from the water. I thought that was such an interesting idea. On the way back, even though I walked faster because of the mosquitoes, I still felt that this little walk was worth it. In the trees, I didn't see anything grand or special, but my senses seemed to open up a little. I noticed the layers of leaves, the damp air, the small sounds around me, and even my own breathing. It was a short walk, but it gave my body a real pause. Before long, I was back in the themed street, but my mind was still on that little green path. I suddenly realized that what had really drawn me in wasn't the pavilion itself, but the feeling of being surrounded by something alive. Compared with this themed street, that small patch of trees felt more real. It didn't need shops, signs, or decoration. From far away, I could already see my husband sitting outside a shop, waiting for me. I guessed he had been there for a while. As we walked back together, I told him about my unexpected little discovery that day. My husband always likes to make small jokes when I'm feeling relaxed. He may not help much with housework, but he really knows how to make me laugh. After we got in the car, we paid for parking. It was only 1.5 yuan, about 22 cents. Parking in a small city is really cheap. After that, we drove to my uncle's home for our family dinner. When we arrived at my uncle's home, my husband greeted the other uncles at the entrance and chatted with them for a while. My grandmother is 87 years old, and among all the spouses who married into our family, she seems to especially like my husband. My uncle is my dad's youngest brother. He runs a small shop on the ground floor of his home, selling groceries, cooking oil, rice, and vegetables. So while the rest of the family was chatting, he was still busy taking care of the business. On top of that, he was also the main cook for tonight's family dinner. He prepared almost everything by himself, and I was really grateful for all the hard work he put into this meal. The children were playing hide and seek in my grandmother's room. She watched her mischievous great-grandchildren with a look that was both amused and helpless. When customers came in from time to time to buy vegetables, my aunt helped weigh the produce and take the money. My uncle was really too busy in the kitchen to step away. I took the mischievous little boys upstairs first, so they wouldn't make too much noise around my grandmother. As soon as we walked in, I saw that the dining table was already full of dishes. Honestly, it made me hungry just looking at it. At the small table nearby, some relatives were playing cards together. In many Chinese family gatherings, this is a very common way to spend time before and after dinner. There may be a little money involved, but most of the time, it is more about fun, chatting, and keeping the atmosphere lively. One feature of my hometown food is that some of the main dishes are served in clay bowls and kept gently simmering at the table. Here, my cousin is lighting the small solid alcohol fuel underneath, so the dishes can stay hot while we eat. My husband brought up a plate of steamed fish from the downstairs kitchen. It looked delicious as soon as it arrived at the table. The people at the card table weren't distracted by the food at all. They stayed completely focused on the game, and even the little boys started copying them, pretending to play cards on the bed. When all the dishes were finally ready, there was one tradition we followed before everyone sat down to eat. In my hometown, during the Lunar New Year or important family holidays, we first invite our ancestors to share the meal. It is a way of symbolically bringing the family members who have passed away back home to join the reunion. So my uncle first placed 4 sets of bowls, chopsticks, and small cups of wine on the table, then called out their names and invited them to eat first. After my uncle finished the ritual, he called everyone to the table for dinner. But the relatives who were playing cards joked, maybe we should let the ancestors eat a little longer. Everyone burst out laughing. Moments like this make the tradition feel serious, but also very warm and human. We first put some food into bowls for the children and let them eat at the card table. After that, the adults all came to the main table and dinner finally began. This dragon boat festival was quieter than I expected. The themed street felt empty, but the green path, the small surprise by the water, and this noisy family dinner slowly made the day feel complete. Maybe a holiday doesn't need crowds or big plans. Sometimes fresh air, family, and being together are enough.